President William Ruto and the outgoing African Union Commission Chairman Moussa Faki held talks at the President's Kilgoris home in Narok County, where former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's candidacy was on the agenda. Also on the agenda was the ongoing reforms at the African Union, spearheaded by President Ruto, whose proposals will be tabled during the Heads of State Summit in February next year. Apol Kamau reports.
How is Addis? Thank you, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you.
With slightly over a month to go to the African Union Commission vote in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, President William Ruto held talks with the outgoing chairperson Moussa Faki at his Kilgoris Narok home in the middle of an intense campaign by Kenya's candidate Raila Odinga to clinch the vote. According to sources, President Ruto is said to have campaigned for Odinga's candidacy in line with Kenya's push for AU reforms, while Moussa Faki is said to have assured the president of a smooth transition at the continental body, where the push for reforms has gathered pace. Moussa Faki's presence in Kenya is a diplomatic boost, given Kenya's role at the AU, where President Ruto is a champion of institutional reforms. Faki is likely to deploy his networks in Odinga's favor, with the final decision resting on individual African heads of state and prime ministers who wield the power of the vote.
The dynamics of the African continent are the ones that are going to determine, because the presidents and prime ministers are the ones to vote. And they will be voting on three things. One, what do they think of Kenya? Will their interest be jeopardized by having Kenyan at the top? What do they think of Ruto as a person? Then what do they think of Raila and his record? So if all those three factors favor Raila, then they'll vote for Raila. If they favor the other candidate, then he will lose. So it's a 50-50. And he should expect that he might lose. But if he loses, he's here.
Odinga is facing off with Mahamoud Yusuf of Djibouti and Richard James of Madagascar, where victory for Odinga will be a big political score for President William Ruto in the run-up to 2027, while a loss for Odinga is likely to come with political consequences. To win the vote, Odinga needs the support of 32 African countries. President Ruto, as a champion of AU reforms, will be seeking the nod of his fellow African heads of state come February next year on funding of African Union activities, which depends heavily on external donors, strengthening the African Court of Justice to handle African conflicts, considering 6 African countries have been suspended from the Union due to wars and coups. The new proposals also seek to strengthen the 20-year-old Pan-African Parliament, which sits in Johannesburg, South Africa, and to reduce its membership to less than 5 members from each African country and have regular sittings to oversight the African Union Commission. Apol Kamau, TV 47.